out of the tunnel, as any Cal bandsman will tell you, is possibly the most special experience that you can have.
It was surreal.
I mean, you're just overwhelmed by it and you're trying not to screw up, you know?
Feeling the energy of the crowd and knowing that they were happy to see us, that they were really excited to see us come streaming out of tunnel.
And it was there was a lot of energy and you had to catch that lean, otherwise you were gone.
It was very, very exciting and exhilarating, and you get to the end and you haven't fallen down and you're gasping for breath.
It's dark in the tunnel and then you're out on the field and it's bright.
But that first thing you hear after the drum stop is that opening to Big C. It's bright, loud.
And the crowd just stands up and starts roaring.
Really special to feel like thousands of people were there with you, that you're all on the same team, and that you're really representing something so much larger than yourself.
The band was formed in 1891 as this ROTC band. It was just this group of people that liked to march, and then it transformed into a student-run organization, and then it became the 240-member band that it is today.
So my freshman year was 1954, and this, by the way, was the first year that the Cal Band said to itself, we are going to become a Big Ten style marching band. During the years 1951, 52, 53, we went and played 3 straight Rose Bowls because Pappy Waldorf was a good coach. And for the first time, we saw a Big Ten marching band. A band that was no better than a high school marching band saw them and said to ourselves, oh, wow, look at that. After the 3rd Rose Bowl, it was, oh my goodness, we have to start doing this. So little by little, we said to ourselves, from now on, we are going to learn how to march the way the Big Ten bands do. We did, and so now we have the style of marching that we do today. The Cal Band's appearance at the 1958 World's Fair, among other things, it was the first time the band ever traveled abroad. That was the same year that Russia launched the first space satellite, and everybody was excited. Everybody that was going to the World's Fair wanted to go see the space satellite, so they would go to the Russian exhibit, a space exhibit, and then no one's coming to the American exhibit. And then the Cal marching band comes marching by with its full and with its modern day uniforms, and the crowds hear this, turn around and follow the marching band to the U.S. exhibit. Suddenly the Americans are drawing crowds because the Cal Band is standing on their doorstep having a concert. In 1959 Rose Bowl. That was the first time we had been back to the Rose Bowl since those first 3 where we were so totally outmarched by the Big Ten bands. And we were all aware of how we had improved in those subsequent years. And now we're going back to the Rose Bowl and we're going to march against a Big Ten band. By God, we're going to show them how good we are. We're now as good as or better than Big Ten marching bands. We formed a flower pot, and out of that flower pot grew a stem and a leaf and a stem and a leaf, and then it joined the Cal rooting section. And the Cal rooting section came up with the card stunts and formed a rose. The whole audience at the Rose Bowl stood up and gave us an applause. And boy, that made us feel good.
The band is co-ed now. It was not when I was in the band. And so that brought a whole new dynamic to the band, not only in terms of social interactions, but also in terms of the musicality and size of the band.
That was the last year of all male, my first year, and then we went co-ed in 1973. And I still say it was the best thing Cal Band has ever done, is included women in our ranks.
I'm so pleased that that's happened because that's what Berkeley is about. And you don't learn anything if you are with people who are just like you.
The Super Bowl experience, hands down, just wow. I don't regret giving up any amount of time that I did to that event. because it was beautiful.
Really was a once in a lifetime opportunity. And of course then the fact that you were only a handshake's length distance away from the talent, you know, Beyonce or Bruno Mars, that's something that I think is pretty special.
And at the end of it, to be able to look around and see the card stuff that happened and to know we were a part of something so big.
Because of the fact that we were part of this huge ensemble of 1,000 moving parts, seeing that happen was really something really quite impressive. It was really beautiful.
It was huge for us to get that kind of exposure and those kinds of opportunities. They're pretty rare. And the list of marching bands that have been in the Super Bowl is a pretty small list.
So on this Asia tour, we left for about a week, just a little over a week, and we went to China for 3 days, and then we went to Japan.
That was one of the dreams I had for the band when I took over as director. I thought if at some point I could take the group on an international trip, that was one of my goals. So it came to fruition. It was pretty cool. But before that, it was 1970. And that was one of the cool things too. Al Locher was a student in that band.
In 1970, when we went to Japan, I mean that was a big, exciting trip. It was a huge undertaking because we took a full spring show to Japan, a 2-hour spring show. So marching and dancing and concert and costumes and props and all those things. It was a great experience to having seen it 45 years ago to then go again and see it the way it is now.
So in Asia, it was probably the ultimate student choreographed or student organized trip I could have ever imagined. So it was a lot of work, but looking back on it, it was the experience of a lifetime.
And I think the thing that surprised me the most about Asia Tour was the profoundly personal nature of it. And I think that part of that is because I'm Japanese American. But I remember setting foot off the plane in Osaka. For the first time in 11 years, I was back in my family's home country. And I think it was profoundly personal, and I'm really grateful that I had that opportunity to experience that with the band, and because of the band.
If you asked anyone that started the band in 1891 if they knew that it would be what it is now, having performed in the Super Bowl, having just gone to China and Japan and performed on the Great Wall, none of them would have guessed that. And it's just incredible. This is such a unique organization. Cal Band's special to me because it changed my life. I came in as a freshman and I didn't expect anything. I expected a community, friends, and it gave me so much more than that. It gave me opportunities, gave me professional development.
The camaraderie between yourselves, the opportunity to be responsible for very special events.
I mean, I was in the Cal Band for 5 years, which was definitely the most formative and best 5 years of my life. And I think my love of the band and for current bandsmen and also alumni has grown since then, that we have this experience that we share and can bond over.
It's met the world. It's the reason I got into music. It's the reason I enjoyed Cal Games as a kid. It's the reason I enjoy any sporting event.
The element of Cal Band, the core and the soul for me in my experience has been the people. And I think it's always been the people. And that's what makes it so special. I've always sort of thought it doesn't really matter where you go so much as it matters who you're with wherever you end up going.
The relationships from the shared experience have lasted my whole life.